Thank you for joining me again. Today we will continue to look at treasures in heaven. We've looked at what tangible treasures we may have on earth, money and possessions, as well as intangible treasures, talents, skills, abilities, and energy. We looked at heavenly treasures and how we can convert our earthly treasures into heavenly treasures. And recall Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Last time we concluded with a question. Does all this mean that if we want heavenly treasures and our heart's in the right place, we can purchase that by giving our money and ourselves, even if we don't really want to? Or does it mean if our hearts are already in the right place, we will naturally feel called upon to give more money and more of our money in ourselves? Did you ponder this? If you wish, you can pause the video or stop reading for a few moments and do it now. As you may have noticed, storing up treasures in heaven involves giving something, giving of our wealth, giving of our time and talents. How do we do this? Consider 2 Corinthians 9:7-10. Each of you must give as you have made up your mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that by always having enough of everything, you may abundantly share everything in good work. As it is written, he scatters abroad, he gives to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way beyond your generosity, which will produce thanksgiving to God through us. And for rendering of this ministry not only supplies the needs of the saints, but also overflows with many thanksgivings to God. Through the testing of this ministry, you glorify God through your obedience to the confession of the gospel of Christ, and by the generosity of your sharing with them, and with all others, while they long for you and pray for you, because the surpassing grace of God that he has given you. Thanks be to God for this indiscernible gift. What if we have not been gifted with what we think is an abundance of money or skill or talent? Are our gifts then insignificant? Consider the story of the widow's mite. The mite was a coin, as you may recall, of the lowest value, reportedly worth about half a cent. From Luke 21:1-4. As he looked up, Jesus saw rich people putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 copper coins. He said, "Truly, I tell you, the poor widow has put more in than all of them. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, and she, out of the poverty, has put in all she had to live on." Actually, Mark earlier wrote the same story in chapter 12, verses 41-44. No matter how little tangible wealth we have, or how meager we think our intangible gifts and abilities are, we each have something to give. Remember, the value of the treasures we lay up in heaven is not equivalent to the value of earthly treasures we give up. Earthly and heavenly treasures are not reckoned in the same way. Go with God.